Okay, now time to install the coolant tank. So you got two connections, one at the bottom, one at the top. Bottom one goes with this big hose here, right? Put a bit of oil on the O-ring inside. The top one comes from the top of the radiator, the one that was clipped on top of the fan. This thing's got a connector also at the bottom, if you look at it. Okay, and then you have two ears with two holes that needs to be hooked up here. And this stud here is inserted in that rubber right there. So that's what it is. The bolts for that, there's two bolts like that going on the top on the ears. So that's don't forget to put a little drop of oil on the O-ring to be able to insert it. And so let's do this right now. Okay, so first step is to hook up this hose at the bottom. Second one we cannot see from here, but the electrical connector. Then you lay down that thing here, put the two bolts on, then you hook up that hose. These clips are for the vacuum hose that's going to connect here to the vacuum accumulators, which look somewhat like this, right? So this is going to go like that. So there's two holes at the bottom on the bracket. You should have two studs. I got one here, the other one is broken. So these studs, you put a nut like that, and on this part of the bracket here, this is where it goes, and this is the bolt that goes along with it. So you got two connections at the bottom on these tanks. The two connections are from these hoses here. These are the hose coming from the vacuum pump with these two little hoses. So the longer one goes obviously further, the other one goes shorter. This is kind of obvious. What's important is these hoses here. It's not really important. In fact, you can mix them up, doesn't matter. What was important is the hose coming from the valves, the two valves here. It's a bit hard to see. Let me show you with a, yeah, we can see it. So these two valves here, one here and the other one here underneath that connector. The hose that comes out of these and going to the turbo, this is what matters. The other connection vacuum doesn't really matter. So now I'm gonna hook up the bottom hose into these tanks, then bolt it in place, then hook up the top, and this is ready to put some engine coolant in there. It's time to install these two braces. They go like this. There's a 45-degree angle here. 45-degree angle go here. So they go one on top of the other like that. Okay, so then we have to remove this thing here. The other bolt I left it there, it's loose. So I need to remove that bolt, or just loosen up a bit because these are slotted here. And these bolt here we need to remove. Both sides, this side and the other side here. Installing these braces. This is what it looks like here for the vacuum tank. If you look at the vacuum tank, the hose, I clip both hose here on this one, and there's only one hose clipped here above. You gotta give it a bit of loose. Keep in mind that when the engine works, it's gonna move like that, and this is gonna remain fixed. So you need a bit of flexibility here for the hose to be able to play a bit. So now just install these two braces. These braces you insert it here, like that. Okay, you can line it up with the bolt. And the other brace, same thing here. this is the big bolt that goes on the middle. So you just line up the two slots, put the bolt in place. You need to torque that a lot. They say to replace those. I never did. I don't follow the torque, I just torque it seriously. And once you're done, put back the cap. This cap there, make sure there's the rubber seal. It's just like you put it like that and you just turn it. It's just a fraction of a turn. So you torque these first because this is a hole, both sides. Then you torque the middle one because the middle one it's slotted. Also, these make sure that this hose here that connects here, it has to go behind these three wires, so you can hook up these three wires here with the rubber mount. Put the cap on, and that's it. Time to remove the tape, because we're gonna hook up the this thing for real now. So you do both sides and then you hook up the rest of it. So now it's time to install this thing. So the best way to do that, you use this middle line here and you line this up with the slot here where we hook up with the bolt this thing. Also maybe clean this thing with a rag to remove all the dirt. So what you do is you line up that thing like that. You gotta make sure that the seal here is inside these plastic slot, like here. So you line up that thing with the middle, and then you insert these here from the side, and you insert the rubber. Or at least pull it aside for now. You do the same on both ends. Once it's inserted, you can slide the rubber like that. And then here what you do is you take it and you swing it a bit like that and you push it in place. And underneath you can sense with your finger to make sure that the rubber grips on the edge. So on that side you need to hook up, on the passenger side you need to hook up this connector here. And this cover goes here. So you insert like that. You gotta put the tab on this groove here, and you just clip that thing there. Oops. This thing here, I should have not put it yet. There's two bolts that goes here. If you look, this hole here, and there's the same on the other, all the way on the other side. So there's two bolts. I need to find these bolts. Also this thing here has got 4 bolts here. This thing goes here on top of this. This is the filter for the inside of the car. So you just put that here, and there's 4 bolts that hook up that thing. There's also 2 tabs. Mines are broken, but there's 2 tabs here with 2 bolts. One here, and the other one is here. You can see the hole here. One hole with the tab, and the second hole with the tab. So the cover on the other side, same thing. You put the cover on that side, slide the rubber in. The other side, there's a wire. This wire doesn't connect to something, but it has to stay like that. You just clip it and you just leave it like that. Once it's done, it's going to stay around here. So that's what it is for that thing. Okay, so the boats like that, there's two of those. These are for the boat in the corner to hold that plastic tray that goes underneath that thing. So one on each end, again right here, and if you're not sure where it goes, it's under this bump here on that thing. Boats like that, 4 of those. These are the boat that goes here, and the boats similar to it but with a big washer. These are the 2 boats that are for the tab, that is right here like that. Okay, so now it's time to hook up this hose, power steering hose. This is going on top here. There's this square clip that fits in the hole that is on the driver's side. I'm right now up front the car looking toward the rear, and this is the boat that goes on top of it. You gotta be careful because this boat's got a bit of an angle. It's not like fully straight. You gotta look a bit. I think it's an angle a bit like that, slightly the upper part of the boat leading toward the front. One key wrench like that, maybe with a ratchet, could help. This is a 10 millimeter head size. If it's not working properly, I'm gonna use one that you can fit a socket on, because it's a bit of a cramped space. So yeah, you can see it's right here on top. So that's what I'm up to now. So when setting up for the coolant, you buy it at the dealer. This is a concentrated thing. You need to do 50-50 with water. So what I do typically is I have 2 of those, and I split it in 2. You can see the level here through this. There's like a clear line, so, and you can also weight the 2 of them, but with this line is very obvious. Once it's half and half, you add 2 liters of water in each of those. You can then you write mix, so you know that it's mixed. You can shake it a bit. I like to put a funnel. You set your you see this red thing, that's your float to see the level you have. So try to put it inside the funnel. So you take your time. The capacity for manual transmission should be around 8.2 liter, maybe slightly more, because normally when you empty it, the engine is not as empty as we did, because we make an overhaul of this engine. Also for the capacity, you can see here it's written on it. So this red thing, hold on, I'm gonna take it off. This red thing's got 2 balls on it. You can see one at top. There's another one about a 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch below. So here you can see when it's cold, it tells you that the minimum would be the top of it flush to the neck here. Maximum would be the lower ball flush, top of the lower ball flush to the neck. So right now I just pour some in there. We're gonna have to go through. I'm gonna have to get a few more, but then we're gonna have to go through bleeding sequence. To do so, it's a good thing you make sure your battery is fully charged. So now mine is uncharged. It's gonna take a bit more charge, but just wanted to show you how to fill up that thing and the proper mixture ratio. Okay, so now it's time to bleed the coolant. So what you do is you put your key in, turn the ignition on, just on. You don't start it, but you just push till all the lights turns on. Your fan will turn on as well. So what you do is you set the heat to the maximum, both sides. You set this speed to the lowest. Then you need to push and hold the gas pedal for 10 seconds. That should start the bleeding of the coolant. The pump would start on and off. That would take normally about 12 minutes. So if we go look outside, that should be it. Yep. So you push your key, you wait 3 seconds, and then you hold the gas pedal for 10 seconds. So if we go outside and we look at it, that should be started. Yeah, you hear the pump going on and off. We might have to add some of the coolant. Some coolant in there, yeah. Because once it's running, you need to keep up with the level sometime. Time to insert the rear undercover splash shield. You start, this part there is toward the rear of the car, this part towards the front end. You start by this one here, which is you need to like turn this thing, insert it, and then turn it back. The way it goes, it's like a tab that is going sideways to that thing. I'm gonna show you underneath the car. From under the car, this is the bracket, what it looks like. This one right there. So you can see it's up front under the car of this bracket that holds the exhaust. So this is where you want to start lining up that thing, turn it, and then put the screws in place. The screws look somewhat like that, and if there's some of them that are hard to align, because there's some bracket there, aluminum bracket, you can use a very thin screwdriver trying to line up the things with the holes. That should help. Also, it might be good to put some NTCs or never Cs on those threads, because these tends to rust. So this is what it looks like once it's installed.